So this has been a long time coming. This is It Podcast, episode 1. We would have done this sooner, but you've been on a vacation for 2 years.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Extended stay.
Extended stay.
Wasn't a Hilton, but it had to do.
Well, I'm Noah. This is Brian. This is my brother. Today is his birthday, and we wanted to celebrate by launching It Podcast onto the internet again. And we're going to start by reviewing the last couple years. What have you been up to, Brian?
The last 2 years, let's see, what today's January, so in January 2 years ago.
And what were you doing for your birthday in 2021?
Oh man, I was strung out, running them up, walking in and out of the casino, struggling. My addiction was in full control. I was miserable. I remember trying to get clean there for a couple days, and it was just horrible. It was absolutely miserable. Slept for days, ate everything that I could find, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I went back and then relapsed. Shit's pretty much impossible to do by yourself. It's very, very difficult. The addiction is real. The addiction is strong, and it will take everything that you could ever imagine of having away from you. You know, before the 2 years of January 2021, I had won the lottery, literally.
Yeah, you won $100,000 off of a scratch off.
$5 scratch off.
$5 scratch off.
And
after taxes, you ended up with like $80,000. $80,000.
Yeah.
In a night.
No, it was 70. It was 70. 69,000. Yeah. And I went through it in about 2 months. I bought cars and clothes and hoes and drugs and rock and roll, and you know what's even worse is that I was at this time in my life of I didn't need anybody else because financially. And so I thought that financial burden being lifted was enough for me to be happy. I discovered that money isn't the cause of happiness. And I had went to the casino, and I turned that 100,000, just what was recorded was about 450,000. And what was not recorded was probably around 750 lowball, $750,000.
That's a pretty good weekend at the casino.
That's a great weekend at the casino. Yeah, it was about 45 days that I had it all. And but I just went through it. I had no control whatsoever.
When everything came back down and you caught charges, you got arrested.
Yeah.
And you inevitably had to get clean. Yeah. What was it like when the reality hit you of the high that you had experienced and now the situation that you're in, whether or not you realized it was because of those decisions, it's still like the reality of, I don't have $700,000 anymore.
Yeah. That was a hard pill to swallow. The game pretty much took everything from me. And what's sad is that I could have paid for a great lawyer and got out of everything. But that's not what my higher power had planned for me. He's got such a great humor. But so the feeling, I was running them up and I had lost everything and I was strung out. I was trying to get clean, couldn't get clean. And finally I was headed to the casino one night, and a brake light. So I had this really great sound system in one of my cars, and it was beating so hard it caused a short in my taillight in Oklahoma. Well, they pull me over and they find that I have warrants, and they find paraphernalia on me, and uh, there's like, well, Arkansas wants us to take you in. So I go to jail, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm just begging them to just take me to the back of the jail, give me a bed, give me blankets, so I can go to sleep, because I had been up for a couple days, and
So when you got arrested, you knew it was time.
I was every time I get arrested and I hit that back of the cop car, it doesn't matter if I am higher than Martian, you know what? Like, I can be so out of my gore, but I hit the back of that cop car and it's just, I fall asleep. Boom, instantly. I just, ugh. It's because I know that it's over. Like, the run is over. So it's like, thank you for putting me in the back of this car. And, but anyways, like, I just instantly fall asleep. And so we got a little ride to the jail, and this is in Oklahoma, in LaFleur County, in Poto, Oklahoma. They booked me in, and they come 3 days later with an extradition paper that I have to sign. And like, the whole time I'm just like, let's just get it going. Let's get it over with. Get me to the penitentiary. I'm done. I'm done fighting with this. And so I sign it, and Arkansas has 30 days because of COVID to come and get me. Well, 28 days comes through, 29 days comes through, and I'm still sitting there like, where is Arkansas? Like, come and get me. And a guard comes to the barracks, and he says, Donoho, pack your shit. You're going home. I'm like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, how in the hell did I just escape this fury again? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've already done all my, like, oh, I'm so sorry, God. I'm, just begging, please, I'll do anything. And so they let me go, and I get my stuff back, and I have like 4 cigarettes, and my cell phone's dead, and it's out of minutes, And so I walk over to the gas station, and I'm trying to call people that I can remember. And so I finally get a hold of a friend, and they're like, yeah, come to the house. We're like a mile from where you're at. So I walk up there, and in my head, like, this last 30 days, like, I'm not getting high anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm a changed man. And as soon as I get there, I start smoking some weed, and I get way too stoned. And so I start rolling the dope bowl to weigh out the weed high, because I'm violently stoned, spinning and everything. You know what I'm saying? And so then I just go on one from there. And what's funny is, like, I'm like, okay, well, I got high, but this time I am not gonna shoot up. Like, what does it matter? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the line.
That is the line, And I'm sure that other people can relate to that, because they're like, well, if I'm not shooting up and I'm just smoking, or I'm not smoking anymore, I'm just snorting it or whatever. And, but anyways, so I go on one for 2 weeks. I go to the casino a couple days after getting out of that, and I hit a jackpot. So I've got another like $4,000 in my pocket, and I go balls to the wall, and I'm doing a bunch of other felonious shit. And one morning, I'm like, let's go to the casino. I'm staying in a Hilton suite at this point, and I go to the casino, and a girl is taking me back to my hotel after a long night of that shit. And she is not wearing her seatbelt. We get pulled over by an Arkansas State trooper.
Nice.
great. Like
tail light, then a seat belt. One of the things that
it's a
completely
seatbelt, really.
moments that change your life.
So we're in the car, and we just crossed over the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line. We're in Arkansas, and I'm like, I am not going back to jail. I'm running. And this trooper gets out of the car and looks like a fucking gladiator. Like, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been up for 2 weeks now, strung out, done lost all the weight.
Now this unit is going to take you in for good.
Yeah, it's one guy.
Yeah.
There's not a dog, nothing. There's this one guy, and I'm like, I can't beat him. There's no way I can beat this guy. He is like, anyways, he runs marathons. He's built. Like, if he gets me, he's going to really hurt me. And I'm so tired. And so they run my name, and they're like, Mr. Donoho, we need you to step out of the car. You have a warrant for your arrest. I'm like, thank you. You know, I'm like, it's over again. Like, I get another chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this whole time, like, I've been taking all this negative thinking and I've been turning it into a positive because, like, I really wanted to get clean. And, but anyways, they come and get me from Fort Smith, take me to Hot Springs, and they booked me March 14th and 2021.
Yeah.
And I sat in county in the county jail, Garland County Jail, for 11 months. And then they transferred me to where I thought I was. I thought I was in hell. But then they transferred me to this podunk town down in South Arkansas called Camden. And it is the worst jail I could ever even imagine.
Shout out to Camden.
Yeah.
Y'all got it going on.
Fuck you. But they give me a yoga mat and a blanket and a little bar of soap and say, good luck. And it's horrible. And I'm there for like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
And but this whole time, you know, like, I'm still looking at things like this is my only chance. You know, it has to get this bad before it can get any better. And so anyways, I had signed on a 10-year sentence for delivery of methamphetamine under 3.5 grams, under 3 grams, something like that. They give me 10 years, Arkansas Department of Corrections. And so I've pretty much done 2 years of that before I made parole. And but what's great is that I'm clean, you know, like, and what else is even better than that is that my connection with my higher power is amazing.
So in about a year's time, you've gone from looking down the barrel of 10 years to being out, autonomous, employed, clean, and having a deeper connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, today, looking at some of the relationships that you've made through reentry and your own personal growth, what are some critiques you have of the whole system as a whole? The other day you mentioned our new governor having some questionable policies for inmates. And I mean, you got a taste of what was actually coming towards you, but there are still people in your position that could be in your position that you are now, much healthier and, you know, ready to reintegrate place in life.
Yeah.
Does it scare you what is going on with the current governor and the prison system?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, because I always have another chance. I believe that we always have chances. You know what I'm saying? But like, I do not enjoy being behind the concrete walls with the vibes that are rolling through the penitentiary. I am not penitentiary. I don't enjoy the penitentiary, and I don't believe in the penitentiary. Even though the penitentiary is really what did it for me, and like, it's not that it scared me straight, but it caused me to have enough alone time and solitude that I was able to find myself. So I don't want to get it twisted. I'm extremely grateful for that experience. Like, it's probably the one experience that I'm most grateful for is being sat down, locked in a cell, and made to sit there. Because that solitude, man, you have to connect with your higher power, higher self. You find out who you are. Reminisce on bad times, reminisce on good times, and you just learn about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the key to understanding who you are is solitary. And I mean, and people might disagree with me, but that's what did it for me. And I can only speak for myself. But
do you think there are situations where it doesn't have to be enforced by the state? And like for you, looking back, do you think there were any points that you didn't get help when you could have, and you would have made the decision to stop and reflect? Or was that what it had to come to?
See, that's what's funny. Gaining that relationship with my higher power, it had to happen. And it was supposed to happen. There wasn't any way that it was not going to happen. See, I believe that, like, when my soul was in the spirit world, right? I believe my soul was like, and this is kind of where free will comes into play. My soul was like, okay, this is what I want to experience, and I want to learn this about others, and so I can learn things about myself, and this is what I choose. And I believe that's like what your free will is when your soul picks this whole plan out, and then God is like, okay, here you go. And then they put us in this physical form, because, like, there's always two bodies. There's the spirit and the physical, and I believe the spirit's like, this is exactly what we signed up for. So, like, my spirit is like extremely happy that I'm experiencing all of this pain,
right,
and grief, and, like, and it's because the only way for it to experience its true self is by experiencing the opposite of what it really is. So
you have to lay in the bed you make. So maybe on some way you've made your life plan, and going through these things is the bed that your spirit has made. And do you think you're increasingly, growing spiritually, and you're achieving some sort of enlightenment? Do you feel like you're more enlightened, or
I think
do you think you're just on a path where different things happen?
I believe my awakening is stronger and stronger every moment. And I believe that that is the path that my soul chose. And so, this is my favorite author, named Neil Donald Walsh, author of many books. I read his Conversations with God series. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, they're so powerful, and I strongly suggest anyone to read that. But he has a story in I believe it's book 1. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but because I could be wrong. But he talks about the light, okay? And there's this little light, and he goes to God, and he says, God, I would like to know myself. I would like to know who I am. So God is like, are you sure? And the light is like, yes, please allow me to know who I am and experience who I am. So God's like, okay, I will give you exactly what you want. And what he does is he takes that little light, and it's brightest light, and he puts it in complete darkness, and he takes its light away. And the light's like, well, you took my light away, And it's going through all these troubles and, like, grief and experiencing not having the light. And then God brings the light back and says, now do you know who you are? And it's like we have to have that taken from us and go through that so we can discover who we truly are. And I think this is the experience that has brought a lot of that light into my existence on this physical earth, on this physical plane. And so I strongly believe that that is God's sense of humor,
Yeah.
and it's all out of love. It's pure love. But it has nothing to do with this physical body and all these materialistic things. And so when you get all that taken from you and like put back in the solitary and you're made to be by yourself, you start to experience you. You start to experience that inner love and that inner peace and that joy. Like if you can stay in, and I think it's like what, 8 by 4 feet cell, and your shitter is right here, your racks are right here, your bunk beds are right here, your table is right here. So you're eating in your bathroom, you're doing everything in this little bitty cell, and you start to like have to love yourself. You have to. You don't. I mean, you always have a choice, and whether you choose to or not is whether I think that's going to determine if you're going to experience the bullshit again.
So why is it that you had this transcendent experience and then other people spend a lot of time behind bars and it becomes they just get worse, exponentially worse? Is it because they have done things that are so heinous that they can't ever love themselves? And is this a reoccurring phenomena that you've had, and other people that come to some sort of enlightenment through solitary time, or are there some just hopeless cases? And what is the answer for them? Huckabee seems to think that violent offenders that are repeat offenders should never re-enter society.
Yeah.
And that would have huge effects on a lot of not only tax systems and public policy for actual facilities and who stays there. I mean, the population will end up just growing exponentially because you're not releasing people back out, but there's no rehabilitation. Why is that the answer for those people? But you had this other transcendent path where you got something good out of it and became more aware of your own.
So I think that, again, it goes back to like what our soul chose to experience. And like, you're going to have to continue to experience in that until you understand it or until your experience with that is over. So it really comes down to one word, and that's desire. When your desire changes, you change,
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, there's people that get stuck in that system, and the system continues to make their choices for them. They don't have the choice now.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you go deeper into it, the people that they're around, you're exactly in the right place, exactly where you're supposed to be all the time. People want to say, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because whatever you're about to experience, that is what you need to experience for either there to be like an epiphany or that aha moment or that light to come on or that light to even go off.
Mm-hmm.
And to say it's good for one and bad for the other, or bad for one or good for the other, that's just putting judgment on something. And who are you to judge?
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So your experience that you go through, like my experience, it had to happen. Like I don't have a choice in that, and neither does the person that was wrongfully accused for the murder,
right,
or the rape, or the whatever the crime is. Unfortunately, the society is judging them, and they are making their fate now.
Mm-hmm.
But it is up to us, like it was up to me, to take that experience with love and joy, and whoever I'm around, I shine that light. Because, in this book I'm studying, it's called A Course in Miracles. There's a key phrase there, and it said, "You are in the room to heal the room. You are in the space to heal the space. There's no other reason for you to be there." And so that really, it's powerful. So when you are in the room to heal the room and in the space to heal the space, and like there's no other reason for you to be there but that, then you are becoming the light. And who knows, you could be in the room and this other person is in the room, never talk to them, but because your presence is there, your light is so strong, you just healed them of whatever. Because here's the key: someone is always watching. They're always paying attention to what you're doing, whether you know it or not.
Right.
So it's very important to carry yourself as the light of the world.
We talked about, I love this term, the therapy. So you've been cutting hair, and you were the guy to give everybody the fade. And
it was interesting because I had never fucking cut hair before.
Yeah.
I mean, I've cut my own, and that's really how I learned. And I found that I love doing it. It's an art. It's something that it's a craft. It's something that pleases me. You know what I'm saying? And but what I love about it more than anything is when that person, when that guy comes and sits in my chair. It always starts with a good conversation, like, "Okay, well, what do you want?" And then we're like, "Well, I kind of want this. I don't really know." And I'm like, "Okay, well, just sit there. I don't know how to do much, but sit there and talk to me." And like, it's crazy. The reason I say it's crazy is because they just spew all their problems out. And let me tell you this, I do not have the fucking answers. I don't know the answers, but what I do have are ears and a heart, and I listen.
So moving forward, obviously you've impacted some people that now look up to you, and the people that you were in re-entry with and that were looking to you for a haircut and that time of therapy.
Yeah.
If you carry that into what's next for you, what does therapy look like?
Okay, so therapy, man, first I have to give shout out to my therapist for telling me that, and I thought it was real catchy. Therapy.
Yeah, it's good.
But
I love that.
My dream is
and I think most hairdressers would probably agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
All hair cutting is therapy.
Like, even on those days you're like, shut up.
Yeah.
But they continue to talk and you continue to listen. It's just part of it, because you don't want to mess up your clientele. You want the tip. You have to engage, and that's like the main thing is people, or your clients, are going to only build because they like you, and they're going to tell others about you. "Oh no, my barber, he's the greatest," And but anyways, so my dream has always been to, I wouldn't say always, but for the last many years, is to go and do a documentary traveling around the United States, because I'm kind of limited to the United States because of my criminal record. But I want to go and I want to just interview people and cut people's hair for free. And while I'm doing it, I want to talk to them about what their purpose is. And if they don't know their purpose, kind of give them some insight about how I found my purpose. And so I think doing so, like, again, like, I know this sounds so cliche and like like, so I don't even know what you would call it, hippie or whatever, but it's just love that I'm trying to spread. You know what I'm saying? And
So you're going to tell people to go sit in a 4x8 room for?
Absolutely not. I'm gonna take my cordless trimmers, and I'm gonna take a chair and sit down and just cut their hair wherever they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple barbers out there that are doing that right now, and it's very inspiring for someone like me that
Usually,
has this passion.
I've seen guys do that, and they just cut hair of famous people.
Yeah.
And they ask them questions like, how much money do you have? What kind of car do you drive? And how long have you been in this relationship? But
yeah, no,
they don't ask questions like, what is it that you actually want to do? And, what are you unhappy about in your life right now?
Yeah. So I think the question that I will ask people during this documentary, first question is, who are you? Because that question just cuts deep. It's like, what do you mean, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is, like, we try to identify with all these different things in the world, and that's not who we are. Like, really, this physical is just like a meat coat for my soul and my true being. And so I think that if others can understand that there's nothing for them to be besides who they are,
Mm-hmm.
which in the Bible, they ask God and they say, "Who are you? Who sent you? Who do I tell the Pharaoh that sent me?
I am who I am.
I am who I am." And so, and that goes really deep too, the whole I am part.
Mm-hmm.
And because throughout the Bible, it talks about I am is God's name.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start thinking about that, it just kind of takes you down that little hole. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get to the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just continues to ask question after question after question.
So how do you turn that into a uplifting experience? But instead of saying, well, I don't have an identity because all I do is my job and my family, and sometimes I ride my bike, besides the physical things, how do you turn that? How do you make I am into a transcendental, like, identity where you hold up a mirror and somebody sees their soul instead of their face?
So I don't think that there's nothing that you can really see that with or anything. It's just the knowing and the energy that is within, and you feel that. It's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you walk into a room and you just feel that shitty vibe, and you're just like, oh, I don't like this. Like, something's wrong here. Well, it's the same kind of feeling when you know yourself and you start to explore that area of your being, but the reason I believe that is such an important question, and that really only maybe a few people in history could ever really answer that, is that it sparks that light in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've asked many, many people, who are you? And when they give me an answer, I tell them, no, that's not who you are. That's what you are. Who are you? And they get agitated. And it's because the ego is like, no, motherfucker, I am this. You know what I'm saying? But that's your ego trying to identify itself,
mm-hmm.
because it knows that it is no thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. It's just truth, But it'll spark that in everybody, I believe. And, I had to fall in love with myself after ruining all of my relationships, having the drug addiction, doing things that I was ashamed of, treating people like shit, robbing them and doing all this horrible, horrible things to other humans. And like the way that I had to figure out how to love myself again was by standing in the mirror repeatedly in the system, in incarceration, and look in the mirror, in the bullshit mirror that they have in there. You can't even really see yourself, and just start pointing at myself and looking at myself in the eye and say, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I would repeat it over and over and over and over every day. And it became my mantra. And then finally, my ego kind of separated from that. And my true self was like, thank you. We love each other, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was important. And so, like, in this documentary, finding this purpose and making people feel better about, because if you look good, you feel good, and you'll do good. I'm very driven to help people feel better about themselves because it's all about the peace within. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I say that a lot. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Right. But it's been a while since I've been on this mic and talked. Very, very thankful that you have me here and that you chose me to start the IT podcast back up. Super excited.
Man, week 1, episode 1. We're going hard.
Yeah, it's gonna get real deep.
Mm-hmm. And it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It's not an IT podcast. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it's just, this is it, bro.
And thank you for hosting in this beautiful abode.
Yeah. So this is what Reentry did for me. Well, one of the things. First off, Reentry is an amazing program. You know, some programs are better than other programs. I lucked out and got a great system to go in here in Little Rock, Arkansas. My counselors, the staff, my parole officer, absolutely amazing. They, you know, I'm not trying to suck up or kiss ass or anything, and they're not here, so I can talk good about them. You know what I'm saying? They really, you know, I didn't understand why they were doing what they were doing and the rules and all this bogus ass shit. I was like, what, you know, homework and write this and you know, I had to write sentences several times and, you know, it's just stupid. Like I had to shave my face and I had to have an ankle monitor on and I had to charge it for 1 hour at one period of the day and another hour in another period. And it was like, why am I doing all this? You know, but I didn't buck the system. I just tried to do everything that I was told. And I definitely wasn't perfect throughout the reentry process. But when I got out, I understood that the whole time of being in there was to learn about myself and retrain the way that I think. And then it was so helpful to know that other people the whole time, even sometimes I would be mad at them or like questioning what they were doing, or they were genuinely caring about me the entire time. So when everybody else lost hope in me, my family, my friends, my fake friends, my haters, my girlfriends, all these people that I ever had a relationship with lost hope in me, these few people had full faith in me. And I didn't believe it. I thought they were just doing it because it was their job.
Right.
But like when you get to the end of something like that, you can see their true colors.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, wow, man, they really care about me. And so like somebody else that's in this program, they might have never had anybody. You know, fortunately, you know, we have a great family, a family that knows how to love us unconditionally, knows how to forgive us, knows how to accept what we're going through.
But some
Even
people
if it's
may
tough love.
some people may be experiencing hope for the first time through their parole officer.
Yeah.
That's
and
intense.
they might be bucking it and fighting it because they don't know how to accept that.
Right.
But at some point, they're going to come around, just like I did, and say, "What? Wow, my mind is blown." Like they did this because they cared, not because they had to.
Well, I imagine a good portion of the audience that is going to hear this will be people in reentry or with family members in reentry. So if there was anything that you wanted to say to people in the program that may be bucking it or may just be done and checked out socially and in, a program that isn't as, hospitable as yours was, what do you think they need to hear to get to that point a year from now?
My word of advice is focus on the present moment. Don't even focus on your next step. Don't focus on what you just passed. And don't focus on the step that you're taking. Just focus on being right there in that moment. Like, you don't have to take a full step every time. You can scoot. You know, the old people that get the shoes and they have the little string tied in between the shoes, and you can only take half steps. To only take those steps. Because if you do anything more than that, you're going to trip.
Right.
You're going to fall up. You're going to be overwhelmed. Your anxiety is going to be through the roof. Your depression's going to hit. Your relapse is going to happen. Your relationships and everything that you've ever worked for are going to go right out the fucking window, man. And so the only thing that I can suggest is what I do for myself, and that's stay present, stay grounded in this moment, and don't go outside of it. Because if you go outside this present moment, you're in your head and you're starting to think shit, assume shit, and expect shit. And all of those things right there creates fear. And so when you start living in fear instead of love, you're going to experience fear because the universe is like, okay, that's what you want. I want to give it to you. You want fear? Here's all the fear. You probably can't even handle all this fear. But here.
That's really good.
And what the universe wants to do is just give you what you want.
Right.
So if you stay in the present moment and you experience loving yourself and enjoying every little second, the universe is going to be like, enjoy some more. Here's all the love that you can handle. And that is going to make you appreciate it and stay focused and be successful.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. In the moment,
always. Present moment. Get out of here. Get out of your head. Be out of your mind to be present. So I don't know who the author of this is, but it's pretty powerful. So faith is the oil that takes the friction out of living. Faith will enable you to turn liabilities into assets and stumbling blocks into stepping stones. When you begin to have faith, your load will get heavy, but your knees won't buckle. You'll get knocked down, but won't get knocked out. Work as if everything depended on you, and pray as if everything depended on God. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast, and I'm
happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
We're kicking it off strong this year.
6 years.
Yeah.